Hey guys, happy Monday. Today is Monday, October 7th, 2019. I am super excited and honored to have my friend Russ Gibson on the show. Russ is Osceola County Sheriff. So I've been on my best behavior for the past 30 minutes. That's a lie. Gus is awesome. He's got a great person with him. I mean, he had to have backup because, you know, it's crazy to have to deal with me. So we had to make sure. Oh, your beautiful wife is on. Thank you for promoting today, Scarlett. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So excited. Drove all the way from Osceola County to crazy downtown today. I'm just excited to learn about you, and that's sort of what we're going to do. So Let's start with origin story. We're already getting some thumbs up. That means they can hear us and see us. I saw you guys walk in. I have to tell you, oh, there is Batman. Hi, John. We were just talking about you. You two walked in the door, and at first, you know, your heart sinks, right? You see two big guys in uniform, and you're like, oh, God, what did I do now? But it's very sweet of you to come here, so thank you.
Well, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
It means a lot.
Well, so tell us a little bit about you. People want to get to know Russ Gibson. It's always good. They get the background story. You obviously weren't born and you had a G.I. Joe that said, I'm going to be Osceola County Sheriff.
No.
Maybe you did.
No.
So give us a little background on you.
Well, I was born and raised in Youngstown, Ohio. And one of the biggest things that I wanted to do growing up was to become a law enforcement officer. I believe it was in second grade. We made a little yearbook, and in that yearbook we had an ambition, and I had two ambitions in the yearbook. One was to be the heavyweight champion of the world for boxing, and everyone should have a plan B. And,
Always.
And mine was to be a police officer. And so that's what I became. But it wasn't an easy childhood. It was a very tough childhood. We grew up very poor. My father was injured when we were very young and could not work. We grew up on welfare. We grew up eating very well the first 10 days of the month, 11 days of the month, and then after that it was really slim pickings. So we depended on those free school lunches to get us through. And also our church. Our church really helped us out quite a bit. The church really showed me what it was to be a man, what it was to be the best husband that I could be, and to be the best father.
I love that. So why law enforcement at that early age? Did you have an experience with it, or did you come from a family of law enforcement people?
No, my father, when he was finally able to return to working when I was a teenager, he was a truck driver. That's what he was before he was injured, and that's what he went back to. I was the first person that I'm aware of in my entire family to do anything in law enforcement. And it was just something that I felt I was called to do. And I don't think it's a job that you go to just on a whim. I think it's a calling that you have to serve the people. And that's what I've always wanted to do. And I've been very fortunate that God has allowed me to be in this field, to serve the people to the best of my ability, and to make a difference.
So what's that like? So you decide in second grade, then you have to go through academy. What was the process like for you? Were you down here at the time, or were you still in Youngstown?
Well, I was up in Youngstown, and I was working at a local hot dog shop, and that's where a lot of the police officers would come for their coffee. There was no donut shops around where I was at. Although you could tell by looking at me, I probably enjoy a donut.
Don't we all?
But the thing is that you could not go to an academy in the state of Ohio without being sponsored by an agency. And I didn't know anything about that. But I had made some friends with the local law enforcement officers, and they came into the hot dog shop. They made a call. So the one day I'm working in the hot dog shop, just as I normally would do on a daily basis, and the police officer came in and asked me what I wanted to do in the future, and I told him about becoming a police officer. He made a phone call to chief of police. The next morning I was in that chief of police's office being interviewed. The interview went very well, and he told me he wanted to sponsor me, send me to the academy, but there was just one catch. And the catch was that the academy started that very night.
Wow.
I did not have money for the academy. I wasn't ready for the academy. The day before, there was nothing on my mind about an academy, just going to work like I normally did. But the very next day after that interview, and that very same night, I was taking notes in my first academy class. And that's how God works in my life.
I was
the doors
say,
just opened up like that.
The doors open. So you had this came to you obviously when you're brought to that, because that was, I mean, I'm a man of faith too. So
Sure.
You're brought to that, and then God's going to find a way. There's going to be a way for you to get through some of those obstacles you're talking about.
Absolutely.
Which is awesome. All right, so you go through. Was it what you expected?
Oh, it was so exciting, so riveting. And when I graduated from the police academy in Ohio, I thought certain that, this is it. This is what I'm supposed to do. This is where I'm supposed to be. I'm going to have a career in law enforcement doing something that I love to do, I enjoy to do. It's not really work if you enjoy doing it. You never work a day in your life. But yet I could not get hired anywhere full-time in Ohio. Everywhere that I applied for a police officer's position, they advised me to go to Florida. Go to Florida. With your Ohio certificate, you will be picked up immediately. You can start working in law enforcement, get a couple years of real experience under your belt, and then come back to Ohio and you'll be picked up by another agency up here. That was the plan. So in October of 1986, I moved to Central Florida. I moved to Kissimmee. My uncle was an executive chef at Walt Disney World on the Empress Lily, the old riverboat that was there.
I miss that.
Yeah, that was a beautiful place.
That's a beautiful place.
And true to what they had said, I applied at Osceola County, the Sheriff's Department. The very week that I arrived in Florida, I got a phone call from Lieutenant Gary Borders, who just recently retired within the past 2.5 years as the Sheriff of Lake County. He hired me in Osceola County. And even then, he asked me, what are your long-term goals with the Osceola County Sheriff's Office? And at the age of 22, I told them that one day I would be sheriff of this county. I didn't really mean it, but that's what God does.
Correct. So you had put it out there. The other thing I love about your story so far is that you really, the door was opened.
Yes.
Every single opportunity for that door to open.
Yes.
So at that point, you are on the path you're supposed to be on.
Absolutely.
Right? It doesn't come that easy, or there's no. I'm not a big believer in it just happens to be. There's not coincidences.
No.
So you actually got on that path and continue to go. There was no stopping you on the path.
No.
So 22, you become an officer in Osceola County.
Yes.
You tell them that you're going to be the sheriff. Did you ever actually think that as you're going along?
Well, when I made that comment, just to go back a little bit, when I was hired at the Osceola Sheriff's Office, they hired me as a correctional officer working inside the Osceola County Jail,
Wow.
which was under the sheriff at that time. So I worked there for 10 years inside of corrections for the sheriff of Osceola County. Once I was able to transfer to patrol and move around the agency a bit, the answer would be yes. I did believe that one day I actually would become the sheriff of Osceola County. And when I met my wife more than 23 years ago, I had always told her that, she's about to marry the future sheriff of Osceola County. And it's just something that I've always believed in my heart, and something that, again, doors opened up. Even when I was running the campaign the first time around in 2015, towards the end of 2015 and all through 2016, the simple prayer that I made was, God, if this isn't meant to be, if I'm not supposed to be the sheriff, take this and close this door for me now. Don't let me get too deep into this. I really need to stay working at the office to continue to make money to live.
Right.
But as much as I prayed for the door to close, more doors would open. And I walked through those doors, and God makes his appointments and he doesn't make mistakes.
So you've been sheriff for how long?
Going on 3 years in January. So I'm in my first term. I became sheriff and was sworn in on January 3rd, 2017. And so it's been just an amazing journey so far. Many people ask me, is it everything that I thought it was going to be? And I tell them that...
Thanks for taking that question for me.
I tell them that it was so much more than what I ever dreamed it was going to be. I knew Sheriff Hansel was busy all the time, and before him, Sheriff Aycock and Sheriff Croft, Sheriff Lane and Sheriff Fornes. Those are the sheriffs that I work for at the Osceola Sheriff's Office. But I had no idea just what it was going to be. Everybody wants the sheriff to come to their events. Everybody expects you to be there. And there's so many things happening, and it's an honor to serve the people. So it's a great problem to have.
Well, what's interesting to me, so this is me being on the outside looking in. I feel like you have so many different hats that you have to wear, right? Because you go to events, people want you at events. We're talking about one this upcoming weekend.
Yes.
We want you at the events, and yet you still have an entire police force. Is that the right word?
Yes.
That you have to manage, maintain. And this isn't just everybody go out and you do this.
Right.
There's a lot of work involved. So you have a lot going on.
Yes.
What's that like? So tell us why, because obviously being young, most of us say, I have a dream, I want to do this. You knew you wanted to be a leader early on. Why?
Well, it's again, it was a calling that I received, and doors just kept opening up. And you know, I have to say that at the Osceola Sheriff's Office, it's not just about me. It's about the great team that I've surrounded myself with. If it weren't for the team that I work with every single day, and it's not 5 days a week, it's 7 days a week, 24/7, because that team and we're involved in this up over our heads, meaning that we are in this, working this, we live this. This is a dream that we've all had, to take this agency, to take this office to places it's never gone before. We are involved in our community, and on our cars you'll see the slogan, Community Strong. That is not something that is there without thought, without consideration. When a deputy gets into that car, that deputy sees Community Strong. And even if it's a subliminal message, he sees that, she sees that, and she knows, and he knows, it's about the community. We are getting rid of the division that there might have been in place at one time with our community by being involved in these events. Like you said, people want us at these events. They expect us to be at these events. Not just these galas, but also on the weekends and during the week. We have get-togethers in different areas of the county, Poinciana and Bonaventura Lakes, the west side, the St. Cloud area. They want the sheriff to be there. They want the sheriff's team to be there. Last year, we attended over 1,000 community events in Osceola County.
Wow.
That is getting rid of the us against you. There's only us. At first, people were suspicious. They were nervous that the sheriff was at their event, that there were sheriff's personnel at the event.
Well, I think that's normal,
Oh,
right?
yeah. People think you're looking for someone, you have a hidden agenda. And when I explained to them, not just explained, but demonstrated that we want to be known as a true community partner, we do make our arrests, we do thwart crime. Just last year, crime in Osceola County was down more than 11%.
Wow.
Just last year. Before that, it was 4-point-some%. That's 16.7% of a crime reduction since I've taken office, January 3rd, 2017. And that's because of the passion that the men and women of the Osceola Sheriff's Office has to serve their community. And we're breaking down those barriers where people are more apt and more of a free feeling to contact us when something is happening. A quality of life belongs to the community. We're a tool that they can use to assure that everyone in our community, no matter where you live, has a great quality of life, and we offer that in Osceola County.
I love that. All right, so what are some of the things that you're doing? Because obviously that's a Herculean task. It's a big thing. I don't care where you're sheriff of or what level you're in or leadership. It's still a lot to overcome. You're fighting against the craziness that is our world right now.
Absolutely.
So what are you doing in Osceola County? Are there some programs that you've implemented since you've become sheriff? Are there things that you've taken that were implemented and you've kind of tweaked them to be yours? What's going on over there that we can learn from? Because I think you're right. I think people, the more you're out in the community, over 1,000 events is amazing, because people then they say, oh God, he's real. Or, oh, he's not as scary as I thought he'd be.
That's right.
And that's so important that you have that relationship with the community. So what are some of the things you're doing?
Well, I know under Sheriff Hansel, we had the Explorers program, which are targeting our children and young youth, 14 years of age to 21, getting those folks involved with law enforcement. It's a mentoring program for these children and young adults to see if law enforcement is really what they want to get involved in. So that's something that we've kept, and it's been growing like crazy. So we're really promoting that. We have our youth camp that was initiated 30 some odd years ago. And that's very successful, where we're targeting at-risk children in our community. We're bringing them to the Kirchman Foundation. It's a great partnership that we have with them, Sandy Smith and Rich Adair and the Kirchman Foundation. And it's a beautiful 10,000 acre pristine nature preserve. And we bring these children here, 32 children a week, 16 boys, 16 girls, handled and done by all deputy sheriffs.
Wow.
That they have canoeing, they have kayaking, nature trails and swimming and you name it, and it's being done out there, and it's really changing the lives of some of these children that might not ever have an opportunity to do something like that had it not been for what the Sheriff's Office offers through great donations from the public that help us do this. We've instituted Camp Kind. We look at this and we hear so much about a prison pipeline, and people wanted to know what we would do to slow that down or put a dent in that, and Camp Kind does that. And that's a program that we've partnered with the school board of Osceola County. Great school board members, great superintendent with Dr. Pace, again with the Kirchman Foundation, and we're taking our middle schoolers that are receiving out-of-school suspensions, and instead of going home and being there, maybe even potentially unsupervised, those out-of-school suspensions will now come to the Osceola County Sheriff. We'll transport them to the Kirchman Foundation, where it's a 3-day program where it's a structured event. They have mentors there, they have counselors there, deputies are there to help oversee what they're doing, why they're doing it, decisions they're making, how they could make these decisions better, and how to avoid the peer pressure. And when that 3 days is done, they're going back to the school, but that's where it's essential to have the proper deputy, school resource officer in the school. They will go back and check on these children that were in this program to follow up with them throughout the year to make sure, see where they are, the decision making, make sure that they're on the path that they need to be on. And so that's something that was implemented by our administration.
I love it.
And it's really a neat thing. We worked with the Alachua County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Sadie Darnell, and we were able to bring in RAD kids for our children 4 years of age to 12 years of age. And it's a self-defense class for children. It's an anti-bullying class, anti-abduction class, and it also teaches the children how to teach their peers, their friends, good touches, bad touches, and who can pick them up, and using code words to make sure that our little ones, because they are our most precious resources, they're children today,
Amen.
But they are the leaders of tomorrow, and they're worth every penny that we can invest in them to ensure their safety and security. Those are a couple.
That's a lot, Russ. All right, so I think I had a lot of questions prior to the show, and one of them, you know, I would never catch you off guard, but
Sure.
one of the things that a lot of people like to hear is, what is it really like to, when you're in law enforcement, what's it like home? So you all make a lot of sacrifices, and we see that because we were talking earlier before the show started, like I'm a big crime, our whole family's crime, anything crime, and we love investigative discovery or the ID shows. But I think that there's a reality to the fact that you all, and I want to give you kudos, huge kudos to all of you. You're making this potential sacrifice every single day. You're doing a lot for the community, and there is a lot of, I'll use the word stress, you can change the word if you want,
Sure.
but there's a lot that you give up, or a lot that's at stake every day that you go out. Can you just share a little bit with them about that? People are like, what's it really like? Is it really like it is on SVU, on TV? And my guess would be it's got to be somewhere in there, because I have friends in law enforcement. So just share a teeny bit about that, if you don't mind.
Well, I can tell you that I tell the new deputies when they're hired to always make sure that they kiss their loved ones, their children, goodbye. This is a very dangerous job, and it is not for everyone. The element of danger lurks around every corner. This is a position that you have, and there's no guarantees that when you put the uniform on and leave for work that you're going to be coming home. There is no such thing as routine in law enforcement work. When I hear it was a routine traffic stop, or this was a routine call to a home with a domestic disturbance between cohabitants in the house, nothing is routine, and that's why we constantly train for the unknown. So we know that we don't know what our next call is going to have, what our next traffic stop is going to come to. I make traffic stops as a sheriff. And you just never know when you're walking up to the car what you're going to encounter.
Right.
So is it stressful? Yes. On the night shift, you know, your spouse is getting home maybe, or your children just getting home from school, and you're walking out the door to go out and protect and serve. And it's not something that is a hardship for us as law enforcement officers per se. This is what we signed up to do, and it's what we love to do. And it makes all the difference in the world to go out there. You know, you're out there for holidays, you're out there for birthdays that your children may be having, or your spouse, or even yours. So absolutely, we're 24/7, 365. We don't take holidays. We are there when you need us at all times. And now it doesn't matter if you particularly like the sheriff or you don't like the sheriff, but I can promise you, when you call the sheriff, we're going to come to you, we're going to take care of the situation, the problem at hand, and we're going to move on. And I want you to be happy with your life. And what we're providing is a service of safety and security, and it's an honor to do it.
I love that. Well, we're very grateful. I think it's such a underserved, underappreciated role in our community in general. This is me speaking, not Russ Gibson. I'm speaking about people like Russ and all of his team and teachers and veterans. There's this unsung hero. So I'm grateful for that. I think a lot of people think that TV just glamorizes it, and in reality, I think there is just this stress that you would not know unless you are in it.
Yes.
But they have a passion and a love for what they're doing, and so it's in their blood. They want to do it, and they love to do it, and we are all blessed by it. All right, so why you're running again for sheriff, which this whole election season's upon us.
Yes.
And so anytime somebody's here, and I know they're going to run again, you're going to run for your position, my question always has to be why. Why run again? What's the impetus there?
Well, I can tell you, just as I received a calling to run for sheriff, I believe that God has told me that our work is not done yet. I got to say that we started a lot of different programs, and they've been very successful. We've done a lot of things. We've been able to diversify our command staff at the Osceola Sheriff's Office, which has been huge. It's never been done before to the levels that we have been able to do that. And people want to see change. When they look at their agency, they want to see almost a mirrored image of themselves, and that's something that we're working towards. It was easy to start that at the top. I have relationships, professional relationships with the men and women that are in this administration, and I knew when I took over this agency that they were the best people for the job. Not because of their ethnic background, but because of my relationships with them and the expertise that they possess that I may not possess. And so we really diversified that top administrative command level. And I invite anyone to come to your sheriff's office to take a tour and see what's going on, see who's behind these offices. You hear a lot of different things from a lot of different people, but come and see for yourself. I promise you, the Osceola Sheriff's Office belongs to the people. You just allow me the opportunity to manage it for you for a four-year term, and we are not done. We're just basically getting started. What happens at the top will have a trickle-down effect to the rest of the people, and that's exactly what's going on at your Osceola County Sheriff's Office. So there's so much more work to do. I feel like we've done so much. We didn't even scratch the surface on what our accomplishments have been so far in less than 3 years. We put deputies in all of our schools, even our state-funded charter schools.
Wow.
That was a plan of mine to do before the Marjorie Stoneman Act came into place. We were going to put 3 deputies in the school per year until we had them in the schools. All the schools would be protected. We, within a matter of months, put 33 deputies in all of these schools. These aren't off-duty details in Osceola County. These are men and women assigned to these schools on a daily basis so they can forge relationships with these children to make sure that they have a safe learning environment, and also to forge relationships with the staff so they can perform their calling, which is to prepare our little children for life's journey. So there's so much more to do, and I believe that God is not done with me yet. I have a full gas tank, and I'm going to bring it until God says I'm not supposed to do it anymore. I'm going to be the sheriff of Osceola County.
Well, it must be difficult, I would imagine, because you're just getting started. This is the interesting thing,
Sure.
Whatever your feelings are about term limits. But my feeling is, when I've ever been a leader of an organization, I'm just finally getting it rolling the way that I want to and getting comfortable. And then I've got to figure out, how am I going to handle, is the next person going to do the things that I've implemented? Are they going to continue to think they're as important as I think?
Sure.
And so having another run, having successive terms is really good if you're implementing the programs that you're talking about implementing.
Sure.
All right, so we're going to share all of Russ's contact information, how you can reach out to him. Obviously, he's an open book. You have to be if you're going to be on the TED Show, that's
Absolutely.
for sure. And I've tagged the Sheriff's Office page on this post, but we'll share it again. And of course, you can see this is just how he is in person. And he means it when he says that if you want to go into any of the sheriff's offices, sheriff's departments, you go into, there's going to be an open book for you. So, all right, so we love to talk about mentors on the show.
Sure.
Mentors are so important. Obviously, they're important to you. I've heard you mention our children so many times. Our children need those mentors. Adults need mentors too, don't get me wrong, but our kids definitely do. So we love it when a friend will share maybe a mentor or two that made an impact on their lives, so that people will be encouraged to get involved.
Absolutely. One of the biggest mentors that I have had was Pastor John Musgrave. Growing up the way that I did, this man took me under his wing. And he provided me opportunities that I wouldn't have had. He showed me what it was like to be the husband, the father, to work hard for a living, work hard for what you believe in. God will help you, but you have to help yourself. It was him that was that positive influence on me and the rest of the church family. They were amazing, amazing. And in this field, I've talked about Lieutenant Gary Borders, who retired recently from the Lake County Sheriff's Office as the sheriff. I can go to that man and talk to him. I've met with him since I've become sheriff. Interestingly enough, he was the one that I told when I was initially hired that I would be sheriff one day. He was the first person that I told that I was going to run for sheriff, other than my wife, who is my rock and my partner. This woman has never been behind me. She's always been beside me every step of the way. So I have a lot of mentors, but these are people that mean so much to me, and I thank them.
Beautifully said, my friend. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for sharing that. Listen, you guys got to say your out loud stuff to people, just like Russ just did, because it impacts your life when you say that gratitude stuff. Gratitude's so important. And we all have those people in our lives that have helped us, either currently or in the past, made a huge difference in who we are today. And so we have to get more involved, and we have to give them the shout out that they deserve. You've been a joy to have on the show. Thank you so much. It's a blessing to have you on. So reach out to him. I mean, he is what he is, and that's what I love about Russ Gibson. Thank you for taking the time, driving all the way out here. We appreciate you guys putting up with us for 3 shows today, all brand new on the TED Show page. But you guys have shown lots of love and appreciation.
Thank you.
And I promise you that you're going to see the same person here as if you reach out to him, reach out to all of his team. I don't think you can fake that.
No, I am who I am.
Know that,
I promise you that.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for taking a risk and doing that. We love you guys. We'll be back tomorrow, but have a great night. See you soon. Mwah. Reach out to Russ. Reach out to his people.